What up? What up? What up? What up? It's your boy Polly B. And today, what are we painting? We are painting. You got that right. We are painting. It's a Hannya mask. The Japanese mask. And that's the flash we're doing today. So I had drawn this up on my iPad. I had done a version with that's only lines. That's why I printed it up. And then I had done a version with shading. So as you get good with shading, you're going to know exactly where the shading goes. But before that, you can have your version of your flash with shading up, and that helps. So that's what I'm doing. So from here on out, I will nib out the designs with my, I called it a brush on my intro. It's not a brush. And it also said arches comes in so many different colors. It doesn't. It comes in white. It comes in a lot of sizes though. That's what I meant to say. And then this is not called a nib brush. This is called just an ink nib or a nib pen or yeah. Something like that. Like I said, I ain't gonna say everything right. I'm still new to this. But this is a Hannya mask. We've got our lines. We've got our signature. Don't forget to add your signature. People like seeing it. It's your trademark. Also, try to include your initials. Yeah, something that you're recognized by. But include the year. People like seeing that. Especially if you're an artist or gonna be an artist. A lot of the tattoo shop owners were looking at that when they would look through my art, because they want to see how long I've been doing it, and then they want to see like how you've progressed, you know, since certain years. So boom. And don't add that after your varnish. It's not a good idea. So don't forget to add your signature. Okay? Because I tried to add my signature after the varnish, and the varnish is like waterproof, and it just ended up looking awful and bad and messy. And so yeah, don't forget to put it on. But anyways, there's that. I'm going to put this down here. I think I've got all the supplies. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to add the black. We're going to add shading and black. And also like gray wash. And you're going to see how that's done. Like I said, I don't say everything right. And I mess up. You're going to see me mess up. You're probably going to see me scramble for some things. I cuss when I mess up. This is unedited, and this is live. Well, it's not live. It's recorded, but it's definitely not edited. And that's for a reason. Maybe it will be in the future. But right now, it's just a paint-along video and a tutorial. And, shit, like I said, I might say some of the wrong things and I might do some of the wrong things, and but this is just me sharing the knowledge that I have so far. So feel free to paint along or just watch, but this is what we've got going on. Our little setup right here. Cool. All right. Let's do some painting, right? This is all still so new to me. Oh, shaky, shaky. Okay. All right. So these are the two brushes I use. This top one, this bigger one, is for my water. So when I'm dispersing my water and I'm blending, just again, you know, this is based on my experience. You want the blending brush to be a little bit bigger. So I use, it's called a number 2. This one's by Artisloff. It's called a Vienna Round, and it's a number 2. And I really like this brush. This one was only, I think, $3, and it works really well. the water disbursement and the water retainment, I mean, it all, I don't know. Something about, actually, I think this brush costs more. It's just a good quality brush. You're going to pay more, but trust me, when you start doing this, paying a couple more bucks for a good brush is worth it. And then this is my smaller brush. This is made by Princeton. I feel like a lot of good brushes are made by Princeton. This is my previous brush set, also made by Princeton, but just a little bit, I think, of a lower level. This brush was actually $11, $12. I know, pretty crazy, but made really well, holds ink really well, disperses the ink really well. Just evenly stays firm, can draw a nice tight line with it. This is a number 1. This is an Aqua Elite from Princeton. And I think this is one of their highest end brushes, I want to say. But I like it a lot. The paper, I already showed you the paper. The paper is Arches. I used to use the 7x10. This is the 9x12. I've cut it down though because I've been gifted a bunch of frames, and they're frames that I paint. So I paint the frames, and then I put the art inside the frame. And so now I have a paper cutter. I'm just cutting them to that size. But that's the paper that I found on stock. That's that top-notch Carlo Rossi. It costs about $32 per 15 pages. So you do want to make sure by the time you get to that level that, you're pretty serious and your learning has come a long way, because you don't want to be wasting that paper. Before you get to that paper, you can pick this up. This is like from like Target or Walmart. They say this is cold press, but I mean, it actually doesn't look bad. It really doesn't. I mean, I'm sure things would still turn out good. Just everybody uses Arches. That's that top notch, that Flossosaurus Rex. But I'm sure you could use this if you needed to. I mean, if you wanted to. If you were like messing around with your kids and stuff and wanted to try to paint along, this stuff's a lot less expensive. I might try some of this and give you guys some feedback. I mean, I have tried it before, but it's been a while. I've been using the good stuff. Been trying to. Struggling poor artist. No, not that struggling, not that poor. Anyhow, so let's get started here. All right. I'm not drawing the design this time around, but I will next time, and that's going to include showing you guys the ink nib. It's like a fountain pen. You dip in the ink over here, and then you just, it's like an old school, like a cool pen. And then you would use the, you would put your design on this light board. You guys have probably seen it in my pictures. The light board will light up. You put your design you've drawn on your iPad or somewhere else on here. You tape it so that it doesn't move, and then you take your ink nib, you dip it in here, and you transfer it. But we already did that. And I'm probably gonna do another video soon, probably tonight, where I think we're gonna do the Guadalupe, and I'll do that one all the way through. I'll nib it and everything. But this one we're not gonna. Okay, so to get started, we're gonna take our smaller brush. The smaller brush is the one that I use for ink. Okay, now you probably see different people online. They do this whole sort of thing, you know. They put their ink down, then they have their water brush. I don't do that because I get them confused. I just have this paper towel area over here, and I just swap them out when I need. Alright, so right now, this taped area is just so that I know where to keep my painting for the camera. But I think we're good. Anyway, so I'm going to start off with black. And I told you I was going to tell you guys everything. What ink do I use? I use this. It's called Dangler and Rowney. FW's the line. It's acrylic. These are about $6.99 a piece. You can get them at Michael's, or you can get them by the kits. They come with different colors, and I think you save a little if you get the kits. But they're about $7 a piece, and I like them because they're not so thick. They're more watery. The consistency's better. Really good for this type of art. Recommended for this type of art. It says acrylic ink. Yep. And this is the black one. Alright. So that's one of the inks I use. So, we want to fill out. Let's take some water. Stay hydrated. Alright. We're going to take our smaller brush. And I like adding the black first. So any black that you might see, we're going to add that first. Any black in your design. And that's any areas that are just solid black. So let's get to painting. I like getting by the lines first. You might feel as though you have a big area and maybe you'll want to grab a bigger brush. But my whole thing is, I might do that with a larger painting, but a bigger brush, I'm just going to get sloppy. It's going to use way too much ink. So I just keep it this number 1 size. Everybody's preference is going to be different. The reason I use such a small brush for ink is because you can use way too much ink and it can become an issue. See? I've already gone over my line. And it's something that I need to work on. Because now here I am. You can always, for the most part, unless it's a really, really bad, you can always make it look pretty good. Just bring the line out and fill it in as straight as you can. You already can't really tell. That's one of my... I don't know if I'm probably sure friends are going to reach out and be like, you should do this, you should do that. But like, I don't know, you probably wouldn't have music on an instruction video, right? It'd just be like me fighting with the music. Plus, not the type of music I like, huh? Like some gangster rap. Be like me yelling over some rap. Alright, so we're filling in the black. Cool. Tight, tight, tight. Oh, shit. Anytime I feel something wet on the other side of my hand, I get scared. Because you will see one day. You will see me smear some ink. And I hope that's not today. It can be you on your best day. Anybody's best day. Oh man, it's the saddest thing around. Especially when you've gotten a long ways through a design. And you come back and you smudge it. Ooh. Boy, are you upset with yourself. Other than that, though, I'm trying to be forgiving. Be nice to yourself. That's part of painting. you can get very frustrated. But the point is to gain control so that you don't get frustrated. So you were just filling in his hair. Black. Black as can be. So normally, if we would have just got done nibbing this with the ink nib, the outline, we would have let that dry. It's a good practice to get into. I myself have had some times where my practice hasn't been so great, and so I'm done outlining and I just jump right in to start packing in black, and guess what? Start smudging lines, and it's heartbreaking. Last week I started off a painting, oh my gosh. I had to restart it 3 times, and I was on the phone with a friend. It was pretty embarrassing. When you post your art and your paintings, you post all the good stuff. You post the finished product. It looks so good. But people don't see the strife and the struggles behind it. Oh my God, everything it took to get to that painting. That's probably about the number of times I've messed up most. This is about 3. Usually by the time you get to number 4, you're ready to quit for the day. So as you can see, it's already looking way different. And we've just added a little black. And we're just going to keep on going. So that's about it for the solid black. Alright. So, because I'm right-handed, I like to start on the right, like over here, and work my way to the left. Because if I start painting over here, and then I'm dragging my hand through it, and you're going to see it can start looking very smeary, like that. See, like, it's already clean. We want to keep it clean. You feel me? So we're just going to start working our way through this, the shading. Alright. So now that the solid black is in, we're going to start doing some shading. Okay? Now with the shading, what I do is I get my brush. I don't get too much of the ink on the brush. Not too much at all. Okay? And then you're going to see that I pick a line. So we're going to shade the ear right now. I pick a line. And that line is what you're shading off of. Okay? So you're shading like to the other side of the line. Okay? So you want to pick an area on your painting, a landmark, is to where the shading goes out to. So the shading goes out to his ear. So we're painting one line. Okay? Now, we're going to take our water brush and we're going to add some water to that. Alright? So we're adding some water to the paint that we just laid down in his ear. Alright. That's a little darker than I would have liked. However, it's good. I will explain spit shading here in a hot second. Let me see. So what we did was we added some shading here. We blended it out to the opposite section of the line. And now behind that line is solid black. And so all we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to fill that in. And it's going to give it that effect there. Now you can always take your brush and go back through and reblend it, because you don't really want to see lines, even on your gray wash. Your gray wash is when your black has been diluted enough that it starts turning gray. Okay? So now you can see that his ear has that like faded out look. Okay. What time to cover something? Alright, so welcome back. There's a phone call that I had to take. Alright, so what we just did was we shaded the ear. Now, you guys saw me do something that's called spit shading, probably. So what is spit shading? Spit shading is an old school technique that's used in this style of art. So, after I've added my color, my ink, to where I want to blend it, and I take my brush and I wet it, this right here is your blending brush. This is your slightly bigger blending brush. This is a 2. So with this brush, you can get water you're going to put water in it to dilute the ink. When you dilute the ink, you're going to be able to blend the ink. So you're going to create different dilutions of the ink, different levels of dilution. So the ink is going to go from dark to light on your canvas. Okay, that being said, there's different reasons to use your own saliva. Your own saliva? What? That's weird. That's gross. Well, it's all part of this art form. This is how it's done. So, when you're going to blend your color, your ink, you don't want too much water. Too much water is gonna lend to lack of control, and you're just going to get water all over your painting, and it's gonna have ink in it, and so it's just gonna be a smudgy mess. You always want to be in control of your ink. You don't want it to be a smudgy mess. So that being said, you never want this brush too wet. You want it just wet enough. And how do you get it just wet enough? Your mouth. So when you suck, you're taking moisture away. But you can also use your saliva, pull it up in the front of your mouth to make it more wet. So you can really regulate the moistness of this brush with your mouth. You can suck on it and it takes moisture away. You can add moisture by putting more saliva in the front of your mouth. And also too, if you ever needed your brush to become a point again, you can twirl it in your mouth. That's something I do often. Make it a more and more point. Twirl it. So those are the different reasons why I use it. Also, sometimes you could get too much water. So if I really want to dilute an area, like if I want it to become gray, you want to keep diluting it because you don't want to run out of paper. You don't want to run out of room before you've diluted it enough, because then your blend's not going to look smooth, and that area is not going to be, it's not going to look how you want it to, because your color didn't blend the way it was supposed to. So you don't want too much water. Sometimes you do want a lot of water. When you're trying to lighten something up and you're trying to blend it, you want to dilute it quicker, you're going to use more water, but you don't want too much. And it's hard to explain, but you're going to get the feel of it. The more you do this, the more you're going to get the feel of it. But if you get too much water, you can also use your mouth to suck some of the water out. So there's plenty of different, spit shading is like an umbrella, and it's a technique, and there's different reasons why you use your spit, why you use your mouth. But that's just what I've noticed. And so, that being said, let's get on with this. All right. So where next are we going to shade? This is kind of a difficult one. All right. All right. So on to more shading. Hopefully starting to pick some of it up. See? That jaw's starting to look good. So just like little areas, you know, you pick your little areas that you want to shade based off your knowledge of art and painting and lighting and all that. You're going to see me lick the brush and not know why I licked it. And then you're going to be painting and you're soon going to start licking it. It's weird to lick it at first too. You're like, what am I doing? And then as you start going, you start getting it. You're like, oh shit, like, I get it now. I get why I'm supposed to lick it there. But at first you feel silly. At first you're like, what am I doing? Like, ain't there a better way than licking? I've seen a couple of these guys use these water brushes. And I think that they're cool. I'd probably like to learn how to use them. It's a water brush, so it adds water. Like I said, it looks cool. I had a paint kit that came with one, but I just never used it. I learned this way and liked it. I guess I like the old school kind of OG way of doing things. And so we're just making this jawline pop a little with some shading. Just a light little bit around the edge there. And as you can see, like, it doesn't really take too much. You start adding some black. You start diluting it. You start really manipulating the ink and the shading. And before long, you've got something that looks totally different from when you started. Totally different. And it's really cool. I think so. Making something go from flat to 2D to 1D. It's just rad. Ain't it? And if you ain't it, you can paint it. Alright. Cool? Cool. Things are really starting to look good around here. So when I come to two parts that need to be shaded like this, I paint the lines, and then I start fading it. There's only one way to fade it, and that's just to the water helps too. You can't, some people just use their spit for the spit shading. For me, I gotta use water too. Water helps dilute, so you can use both. And then once I hope I'm explaining this well. Once I've gone in front of the shaded area and blended that edge, I fill in the back side with black. I hope that makes sense. Right? Just be careful once you Damn. That got too dark too quick. See what I did there? Doesn't even guarantee to always save it. Ugh, I hate when I do that. Freaking. That's why you want the little brush. I'm telling you, you learn all these things. You get the little brush, it puts up less ink. And then you're not stressing about blending it when you have such a small font. Because the thing is if you got too much ink and it's not, see, like even this is too much. I don't want the blend to come all the way over on the lip. I mean, I guess it's probably not going to look too bad, but I don't really want that. Sometimes you don't want it, you just got to go with it. It's crappy. I mean, it don't look bad. You can always lighten it up with more water. More speed. Looks cool. Try never to get your brushes mixed up. That's a catastrophe. You think you're spreading some water, and guess what? You've got a fucking brush full of ink. And let me tell you, that's not a pleasant surprise at all. No fun there. That's a no fun zone. Alright, so we're going to blend a decent portion here. And so... when you've only got a thin layer of paint, and you know that you applied it well, you can just slap some water on there. Get it to start spreading out. Man, today is too much ink. Should have been using more water. Yeah, we're our own worst critics, you know? Y'all are probably going to be like, what are you talking about? It looked fucking great to me. Well, sometimes you just want your blends to start way earlier, especially in tight spots, and it's hard. But usually it doesn't end up looking too bad. Oh, no, this one shit wants to start running. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Ugh. Kind of got away from me tonight. Yeah, I don't want it to come up on the lip that much, the shade, but phew. Maybe I'm nervous. All right, well, we'll just move it right along here, and, you know, it is what it is. It's just one small little, you know. All right. Once you move on, you just move on. Some areas, you got enough room to just use all spit. I mean, you want to dip it into the water when... See, now that's a nice blend. Right there. We had enough room, as you could see. You start with a small piece of color, and then you just blend it out. The lip was kind of a tight spot, kind of got away from me. But it's all good. It's starting to look a little different, huh? All right. So the next part we're going to do is this tongue here. Like I said again, pick a landmark as to where you want it shaded until, and just draw your line. Boom. I don't want it to come behind this tooth. And so I'm going to get some water, and I'm going to start blending. See what I mean though? It sometimes doesn't start getting dark. And then you're like, shit. And sometimes if you put too much ink there, you just keep dragging black ink out. But see, now this is starting to wash. So that's good. Now we can start using our spit. I guess I should have put some on the other side too. Of the tongue. Just a little probably. Use some spit. Use some gray wash. There we go. The tongue's popping. Right? That tongue's popping. Yup. Yup. And then we can paint back here black. Black AF. Yeah, buddy. I should probably be a lot more careful when I'm just painting these big spots and I get all crazy and lazy, and sometimes I just fuck shit up. But I'm trying not to anymore. I'm trying to be better. I don't like doing the same picture so many times. Alright, so you can now see how. And don't leave any holidays, folks. Holidays are when you leave little dots, little open spots. Pack that color in there. Don't be lazy, especially the black. Boom. It's popping. It's completely different. So you can start seeing how it all changes. It all changes. So I want to shade out here. And we're just going to gray wash it out at the end. How are we going to do that? You already know. This is a pretty big spot. So I don't think we're going to have to worry about running out of real estate for shading. But we're going to see, Holmes. We do want to gray wash it out, so ouch, I'm pulling black from the other section. That's a nice wash right there. You see how it just blended, and the gradient went from dark to light to gray to white. Look at that. That's fucking... That's good right there. That's good shit. Satisfying. And then we just paint in behind it. Oh, boom. That looks fucking good, baby. Alright. The next little area is... See a little, and then you just wash it out with water, you know, when it starts getting gray. And it gives it a nice texture and dimension. Wow. And there's little parts you don't want to forget about. Like right here. The little spots, definitely make sure you don't have too much paint on your brush. That's even that right there, I'm telling you. Because you're going to add water, and it's like rice. It's going to puff up, man. See, it's already dark. Already running out of real estate. Nuh-uh. But it's good. Nothing a little spit can't handle. And then boom, there you go. We got that little part of the ear shaded out. All right. We're moving right along here. Boom. You always want black. It makes things pop. You just never want too much black. You can take black away. No, you can always add black, but you can never take black away. That's a good rule of thumb to go by. See, so that feels like a lot of ink. You can blot it. I wouldn't recommend getting in the habit of doing the blot. I probably shouldn't even showed you guys that. Should probably just get in a better habit of putting how much ink you actually need on the paintbrush. Easier said than done. So like I've been saying, you pick your area you want to shade out to. You shade it out. You do the shade first. That's my general way of doing it. It feels like it works better. So as you can see, I didn't really explain it, but I put some ink up here and then I washed it out with water. So it's like I shaded it, but it's a lighter shade. That's just one of those techniques that is kind of hard to explain, and you're gonna have to probably work at it and figure it out as you go. It's just like shading the other way around. It's just you gotta lighten it up before you start doing the blending, because you don't want to start too dark. It's just in some parts of some designs it won't look as good as if you start dark. So you've got to start light, which means that you've already got to have it diluted. And what a lot of people do is they just use the ink that they've been rinsing with And that kind of does it. As you can see, our mask is changing just based off of just shading. I call these blend lines, even though they're not really lines, because they're like blended in. But it's like, I always say, and this is just me personally, every artist is different. But I always say that, fuck, I don't want that to be dark there. I always say that there shouldn't be lines. So if you see blend lines, try to use water to take them out. That's just in my personal opinion. There shouldn't be lines. Forehead. Alright. As you can see, that bled a little out. And so, just so it doesn't have that look like that was an accident, I just blended it in, right? Fake it till you make it. I don't think we'll run out of real estate here, but it's staying pretty dark. There we go. You can start to see it's like a little bit of a relief when things start to blend. Before that, when they just stay dark, you're like, oh crap, something needs to happen. All right, so we're moving right along here. We're gonna shade a couple more areas. As you can see, I'm getting some smudges over here, and I'm not a huge fan of that, and I don't know how that's happening. I'm trying not to have it happen. So far, it's getting there. All right. We've got one more area to shade, it looks like. All right. All right. All right. All right. It's kind of getting there. It's kind of getting there. Yep. See the little dab cloth? Your little dab paper towel is so handy to have. You gotta have it around because it helps a lot. As you can see, again, jeez. It's really heavy with the paint tonight, guys. I'm usually not, oh my God, I messed up his nose. See what happens? See? I'm telling you. Don't do everything I do. Even though I know this is a tutorial. Now I'm gonna have to fix his nose. It's probably... It's not too bad. See? See what I'm saying though? You start getting into bad habits. You start doing things like that. And before you know it, you have to do plastic surgery on your nose because you've jacked it. This don't look too bad though. I'm not too mad about it. I do be getting mad though. And you'll know. You will know. I'm sort of getting upset about these smudges happening to the far right. I mean, it's like, come on, man. We've been trying. It's nice when you can sort of get that same wash all the way across. It makes everything look similar. That shaded nice. I like that. All right. When you do these little crevices like this, it really don't take too much paint. It really doesn't. And it's gonna start blending quick. There with the aggressive spit. Although I could use some water. You go for the water when you really need to dilute something, like when it's not getting lighter and you're starting to run out of that blending real estate. You gotta use water. An example of what I didn't want to do. Fuck. God damn it. I told you, you're gonna realize when I get upset. I'll just try to make this look like an intentional blend. Even though it's freaking... I was trying to just really color in where that tooth needed to be. See? You look around, you find out. Although that doesn't look too bad, you know. It does not look too bad at all. So sometimes you can recover just like that. And it's not too bad. Actually, most of the time you can recover. Symbolism for life, I guess, right? Alright, everything. Sometimes you start off like as a nightmare and then it just ends perfectly. Like, all that blend looks great to me. So usually at this point, I just double check. Oh. We gotta do these horns, these hornitos. Alright. How's the blend happening? It's happening pretty well. Not too bad here. Finishing off strong. There's a lot of real estate. You can put some water. Blend it out. Alright. Maybe that's why. I keep leaving this stupid paper towel. Alright, and that's sort of it, you know. You don't need to do too much, just enough to get it popping, right? And so that's kind of that. Alright, now we are going to do some color. We are going to. So it went from white and black and no character and one-dimensional to that. Pretty cool. Pretty badass. Alright. At this point, we want to give our brushes a nice twirl in the clean water. So now the water that has all the black in it is now only a rinsing water. Unless you want to use it for gray wash, you can. Okay. So, what are we going to do first? Well, I think what we do first is we do crimson. Alright. Well, the Hamza mask is almost always red. So we go red, baby. Alright, so when we do the blend, I'm going to start, I'm not going to saturate. I used to do that. I don't paint that way anymore. Well, I guess for some pieces and some parts of pieces I might. But when I say saturate, I mean like completely saturate the open canvas with a certain color. We're not doing that today. Okay? We're just going to blend some red in. So blending some red in is pretty easy. Alright, so all you're going to do is you're going to apply your main color to the black areas, and then you're just going to blend it in. Like so. You're just going to get these like little dark spots of color, and that's about it really. And you're going to blend them in. Forgive me if I can't keep it in the lines. Oh. God damn. I can't believe it. I'm doing this tutorial and I got just brushes rolling around and fucking painting outside the lines. People are gonna be like, damn, that full fucking paint's fucking weird, sloppy. It is what it is. What is what it is. See, so I'm sort of just adding like color paint to where the edge of the black is, and I'm just kind of just blending it out because I don't want it to be fully saturated, but I don't know, maybe I do. Fuck it. Let's fully saturate it. I've stepped away from doing the full saturations because sometimes I think it hides the shading, but I don't know. On most of these ones for this character, it's just a bright, solid red mask. And so you kind of look to those things for references because some things are so culturally sensitive, you don't want to mess them up. You don't want to do the wrong color. You don't want to ever offend anybody with anything cultural. I love how we weren't doing full saturation in the middle of it. I just said, fuck you. We are. That's how I'd be sometimes though. I don't think it looks bad. That's my son. Hi, son. Talking to Roscoe. Damn, I just forgot I was on camera. Okay. So we're just saturating this red. I think it's going to look good. But I'm not 100% positive. But I think it takes a long time sometimes to get the paint on, but it's part of the fun. You know, it's the perfect hobby if you're trying to hide from your significant other. Just joking. That was messed up. Nobody should be hiding from anybody. This red is dope. As you paint more and experiment and all that, you're gonna probably run into situations where you might need to buy ink, or maybe you can't get the ink you normally do. Let me tell you, you are gonna notice a difference. I accidentally went to Ace and they had an acrylic in their little section that's made by Rust-Oleum, of all people. And I said, oh, it's gotta be somewhat decent, right? No, I'll never recommend switching your ink up. You just don't want to do it. You just don't want to do it. So I think that's looking good. Not that we can change it now, even if we didn't. You can always try to get ink out from where you put it. It's not supposed to go there. Like, I got some in his eye. Ugh, I hate getting ink where it's not supposed to go, but it happens. And what are you gonna do? Throw out the whole painting? And not only that, the paintings are not perfect. They're not meant to be perfect. No painting's ever perfect. It's actually where a lot of the beauty comes in a painting, is it not being perfect. So your work's not going to be perfect, at least in your eyes, because we're all our own worst critics. And my painting's not going to be perfect. And I mean, maybe one day you'll think you paint something perfect, but we are our own worst critics, and we all of us artists know that. For something to be perfect, wow, it's got to be perfect. We didn't do too much blending with color tonight, but we did do some blending with the blacks. So you got to see that. Honestly, not too much left here. Probably just add some yellow. Wash this out. Alright, so we're going to do these horns. So I guess we did saturate the piece. We weren't gonna, but we did. And to me, does it look good? It does. It does look good. I feel like the choice I eventually end up going, whether it be like a light blend, light shade of color, or a full saturation, I feel like it's always the right call in the end. Because you kind of feel out the piece as you go. How's it looking so far? Pretty good. I guess we'll make his front little hairs yellow. Right? Why not? That don't look bad. And to me, that's done. I mean, bada boom, bada bang. So now what we're gonna do, what we've been doing in my videos, is we're gonna lacquer. We're gonna, not lacquer, but varnish. So what you do is you take enough masking tape for one side and you sort of half it. So half So run that down, run it. This part's one of my favorites. This part's easy. Keep in mind, we've already cut this for his picture frame. All right. Why did I do that?